Hey, this is your first macro feedback video. So basically, I'm just going to go over a few things overall, and if there's anything that I want you to specifically focus on or bring to your attention, I'll include it in this as well. But these are mostly to show one of your food logs that I'll be focusing on, and simply just what to add into the day or do a different portion of to better hit your macros. So as long as you do about 2 accurate food logs per week, you don't have to log every single day because that gets really just, tedious and annoying, and people get burnt out from doing that. As long as you have about 2 per week, that's more than enough for me to go off of and show you visually in these types of videos how to adjust and add in whatever's needed in order to better hit your macros. So your macro goals are at the top, and I want you to hit around 1,800 calories. So within that are your macro ratios of about 140 grams of protein, 185 grams of carbs, and about 60 grams of fats. So it's hard for people to understand what that means, especially as they just eat throughout the day. They're like, I don't know what I had so far. Who knows? So a good way to simplify that in a different way is first and foremost, just learning how to hit protein and saying to yourself, okay, I need to have about 5 or 6 protein dense items in my day. And you can keep track of that either on a piece of paper or in your notes or in the Trainerize app with logging a protein dense item every time you do. But you're basically going to have protein with every meal. It's going to ensure that you hit your protein. And there's some things that are easier to double up on and have 2 servings of, like chicken or eggs, egg whites, whatever it is. They're really easy to double up on and count it as 2 protein dense servings. So you're going to aim at about 5 to 6 protein servings in a day, but you also do get proteins from your other macros, which you'll learn about this later on in other training modules that I send you. But there's a little bit of protein in things like peanut butter, which is a fat dense item. There's protein in carb dense items. There's protein in other foods, but you want to aim at about 5 to 6 protein dense items like chicken, fish, shrimp, cottage cheese, high protein yogurts, protein shakes. Those things are going to ensure that you get a bulk of protein in every time you eat one of those. So for this day, you hit around 1,800 calories, which is great. So you were in the calorie bracket that you should have been in, but your macro ratios were off. So that's where it usually is the main thing that people need to work on right off the bat. Is they could be in the right calorie bracket, but your protein's low and your and everything else is higher, like your carbs and fats, but you're still in the right calorie bracket. So we just need to change those ratios around to having higher protein and getting close to our carbs and fats without going way over. And you actually weren't extremely over your carbs at all. You were a little bit over your fats. So let me show you how to better add in and adjust things to hit your macros. So what you could have done, so for breakfast, I see this a lot. It's a common thing where I see people just having like a protein item for breakfast and that's it. So with doing that, yes, it's good you're getting in protein, but you're going to get really hungry shortly after that because there's not enough fats or carbs to hold you over and to keep you fuller for longer. So with that protein shake, you could have added in like a slice of toast with butter on it, and you would have been fuller for longer. And you're adding a carb and fat source in, but think of it as kind of taking that from your dinner, because for your dinner, I wanted you to do maybe half of that portion. So with those carbs and fats cutting down in your dinner, I wanted you to put them into your breakfast. So you're not only going to have more energy and stay fuller for longer with that breakfast, you're going to be able to still hit your macros without going way over. So for your dinner was your biggest bulk of calories. So you can have about half of that, and then you're putting those calories into your breakfast with what you cut down. So you're still having the nachos, just doing a little bit of a smaller portion because we're going to add more calories to other meals. So for your snacks, you had 2 different drinks, and basically just count those type of drinks as a carb factor, a 0 fat carb. It's just like having fruit, a 0 fat carb. Totally fine. So I would have just added in a protein dense item and a carb for your lunch. So you actually would have had like a meal. So say you had some chicken with whatever sauce you like on it and a half a cup of rice. That would have been a great lunch. You would have had more protein. That would have been another 1 to 2 servings of protein within that. And boom, you would have been all good. And then in between lunch and dinner, I would have fit in 1 more protein dense item, like a high protein yogurt, and that would have been fine. You didn't have to add anything else to it. Not a full meal, not a big meal, just 1 item would have been great in between your bigger meals. So with doing that, you would have still hit around 1,800 calories, but you would have had more protein within that, and that's the goal. So each time I do this, you'll start to realize, okay, these foods are higher fats. This is where I fell short in protein. This is where I could have added in protein. And also keep in mind, there are higher and lower fat proteins like steak versus chicken. So there are times and there are days where you can fit in a higher fat protein source like steak. And then there's some days where you already had way too many fats and it's not a good choice to have a steak for dinner because it's just going to set you way over. So that's the point of me doing these, is for you to do more work in the beginning, to do less later on, and to have more of a natural intuitive navigation through your day with eating. So you're going to say to yourself, okay, I have had a lot of fats and carbs for my breakfast and lunch. I'm going to have a moderate dinner. I'm going to have a leaner protein. I'm going to have a leaner carb and some vegetables. And I'm not going to go over my fats. And I'm going to do that by having that type of dinner. So that's the whole goal with these, is to learn those things, to get that intuitive sense of how to just go through your day, kind of knowing where you're at. And every time we do one of these each week, you'll learn more and more. So little by little, you'll start to understand more and more, but it starts here. So with doing these, and then I'll check in with you throughout the week with other things, and all of the little accountability tasks like updating your pictures and stats in the app, and doing your check-in, which is the Google link that you'll do your weekly check-in for. All of those little things just help with staying accountable, staying motivated, like staying in that momentum flow of training together. And it also helps me. Then I have more to go off of when I see your food logs, when I see your check-ins, when I see your updates in the app with your pictures and weight and everything. I have more feedback to give you and understand more of what's going on. So yeah, with that being said, let me know if this helps. And each training module as we go will help you understand more and more. I've created a series of modules that are solely to help you understand what we're doing, what is what, nutritional wise, with the workouts, with body composition, just things that are like pivotal and important to know to better understand, because then you're just going to have more results and understand more of what's happening and what's going on during this training period. So let's leave it here, and let me know when you've listened to this and completed this, and we'll touch base soon.